Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Stella Beauty Tarot back at you again with another video. I would like to thank each and every one of you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and donating to my channel. I really do appreciate all the love and all the support. And thank you for those of you who've been booking readings with me. It is truly appreciated, okay? So guys, your girl's Patreon channel is up and running. So if you'd like to support your girl, you could definitely subscribe. I do post 2 exclusive videos every week on my Patreon channel. So if you feel called to, go check it out. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video is going to be about what comes to mind when people mention your name. So pile number 1, you're going to be the throat chakra crystal. Pile number 2, you're going to be the heart chakra crystal. And pile number 3, you're going to be the brow chakra crystal. So again, pile number 1, throat chakra crystal. Pile number 2, heart chakra crystal. And pile number 3, brow chakra crystal. So pause this video if you must and meditate on the card or the crystal that you feel most drawn to. You'll be able to find your timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you guys at your pile. Hi Pawan! Welcome to my channel. This is Stella Beauty Tarot back at you again with another video. So my pile number 1, you picked the throat chakra crystal, and this is going to be your reading, okay? So if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you back. And if you are a newbie, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. So the way I like to do this is like to smudge the cards first before we get started, so we don't pick up the energy of previous pile or previous readings, okay? So my pile number 1, what comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the 9 of Wands. Like you are a fighter, you are a survivor. I can't even speak. You're a fighter, you're a warrior, okay? So what comes to mind when people mention your name? They're also like you're guarded, I'm getting, because the 9 of Wands could also represent like establishing strong boundaries. Yeah, you're 7 of Pentacles, you're patient, you're dedicated. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. But you also come across as nonchalant or emotionally unavailable or emotionally uninvested in the connection. With the 7 of Pentacles, I'm definitely getting that there is an energy of you being dedicated. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you are a dedicated individual. You work diligently towards your goals, your dreams and aspiration, and you don't stop. Like you don't let anybody come between you and what you really want to do. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, Chariot. You're structured and disciplined, strong-willed, dedicated, a warrior. Okay? You're definitely somebody who is very much like focused on your goals, focused on where you're about to go in life. Like you have a plan for yourself. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. It's like you're not being seen everywhere, doing everything with everyone. Like you're just very much focused on spending time cultivating your goals, cultivating yourself, improving yourself. Like you're very much like that focus is on point. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Magician. They say that you are somebody who is a master at your craft. You're a great communicator, a great manifester. Like you speak things into existence. Maybe you have like a manifestation channel, or that's what you post on social media, or like there's something about you that is very much like magnetic as well. And that's what I'm getting here. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, like you're strong, you're courageous, you're influential. Okay, that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Three of Swords. Wow. Some people, like, they say that you're a heartbreaker. Yeah. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name with the Three of Swords. Like, you're not afraid to cut off anybody if need be. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Okay, that's too many cards. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Ace of Swords. Okay, you're a truth speaker. You're honest. Okay, some people, what comes to mind when they mention your name is that sometimes you could be harsh with your words with the Ace of Swords, but sometimes the truth is not really sweet, right? So I'm getting like, yes, you have like, you're straightforward in your approach, your communication, you're clear, concise, like you don't play games. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind? Yeah, we have the Queen of Cups, like you're emotionally intelligent. With the Queen of Cups, emotionally available, highly intuitive. You pick up on things. Okay, this is what I'm getting here. Very sensitive to your environment. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name with the Queen of Cups. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Five of Swords, but it came out in reverse. So you choose your battles wisely. You don't entertain nonsense. Okay, you choose your battles wisely. Like you don't really have to argue and stuff like that. Like you just really focus on building yourself up, and then you avoid certain situations by being diplomatic. This is what I'm getting here with the Five of Swords in reverse. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, you know how to choose your battles wisely. You don't really engage in unnecessary drama. You avoid unnecessary drama. This is what I'm getting here with the Five of Swords. It's like, you're like, let's say somebody's trying to bring you drama, trying to start some ish with you, trying to hit below the belt. You just avoid it, or like you just don't even engage in it. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you have a really good grip of your emotions. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Hierophant. You're a wise counselor, a wise one, a wise man, wise woman. Like you definitely have a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and expertise. You're definitely understanding. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you earn your stripes. That's what I heard. Like you earn your stripes. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you definitely earn your badges, like your badge of honor. Like you're definitely somebody who is going to be somebody of importance in your community. You're well respected. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you are respected. You deserve and you've earned your respect. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Five of Cups and the Fool card. So the Five of Cups could speak of sorrow, like disappointment, heartbreak. But I'm getting like you bounce back from that. Like even if you experience sorrow, sadness with the Five of Cups, you always like bounce back from it. With the Fool, like you take a leap of faith elsewhere. Like if something doesn't work out for you, you're like, okay, well, it wasn't meant to be. Let me just move on and try something new. So like, let's say if somebody breaks up with you and then like you saw the signs and then you just give them a chance again and they break your heart another time. Like you don't hold on like to the grudge, or you don't become bitter. You become better and then you just move on. You take a leap of faith elsewhere. Like you don't let the situation hinder you, or you don't let the situation harden your heart. Like you use it as an alchemist to fuel yourself and transmute that negative energy into positive energy. So it's like, instead of like, you know, trying to get back at the person and be like evil towards them, you use that energy to become better. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, we have the Five of Swords. Now it's upright. Yeah, like you know how to choose your battles. Like, you know, you're not afraid with the Five of Swords to, you know, confront somebody if need be with the Five of Swords. But it's like you know when to do it, because we have the Five of Swords in reverse. So it's not like you're always going to be on the Five of Swords energy all the time, where you know you're going to argue with somebody. But like, let's say if you have to defend yourself, this person's really overstepping their boundaries with you, you're not afraid to, you know, put your swords up. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, you see, Queen of Cups again, because you're emotionally intelligent. You know when to be in that energy, and you know when to like just let it slide. That's what I'm getting here. And we have the Six of Cups. Yeah, you definitely have this nostalgic energy to you. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Or like you still have this youthful glow. You still look the same as you did like back in high school or something like that. It's like you haven't aged with the Six of Cups. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Or like you're following a childhood dream. You're living the dream, like a dream that you had when you were younger. You're still like, you're living that dream right now. Even if you like you're in your 30s, your 40s, you're living the life of your dreams, what you are always wanted to do. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Cups. So with the Queen of Swords, you're highly intelligent, and that's what comes to mind. Your cutoff game is strong. Like, you don't play games. With the Queen of Swords, you see right through it. You're all about facts. Okay, you know how to balance your emotions. With the Queen of Cups, or with the Queen of Swords, you're logical. You see things for what it is. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, it's kind of hard to fool you with the Queen of Swords. Like, you see right through people's BS, and you see right through people's like games that they play. Like, they try to fool you, or try to like make you feel like you're like, they're trying to insult your intelligence, but they can't with the Queen of Swords. Like, you see right through it. Like, you see their games, you see their manipulation, emotional manipulation and stuff like that. Because we have the Ace of Cups. Like, you're very good with your emotions, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You have a high like self-esteem with the Ace of Cups. Like, you think highly of yourself. Like, you love yourself. Like, you love yourself enough to walk away from anybody or anything that does not serve you. You're not afraid to just let go. If it's like, let's say like going back to a love situation, if the person is not acting the way that you feel like you deserve, and then they're not showing up for you the way that you feel like you deserve in your life, you're going to walk away, and you're not afraid to just drop this person. With the Queen of Swords, it's like, I don't care. Like, you don't want to be with me. You don't want to love me the way I deserve to be loved. I'm going to find someone else. I know my worth. I know I'm worthy of that. And I'm not going to, you know, settle for less than what I feel I deserve. Because like, when somebody really loves you, they're going to go above and beyond for you, just to make sure that, you know, like, if they really love you, and if this is what you require, not in a sense where they're overextending themselves to you and then you're not doing anything. That's not an equal give and take, but it's like you're giving to them and they're giving to you. But if it's like you're giving and this person's just taking, it's not equal. So this is what I'm getting here. You have a healthy amount of self-love. So what comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, wow, we have the Knight of Wands, that you get a lot of attention. You're definitely adventurous. Like, yeah, that's what I was getting, like the heartbreaker with the Three of Swords. You definitely have that vibe of being like a heartbreaker with the Knight of Wands, but you know your worth. Like, you're very adventurous, okay? Like, you're very like youthful in appearance. So it's like people are just very much drawn to your charismatic personality. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have Hermit, okay? So very wise, beyond your years with the Hermit. Like, you're definitely in that energy of like just pulling your energy back from anyone or anything that is disturbing your peace. Like, your peace is very important to you, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're also a dedicated individual, because Hermit, like, you know, is like so focused on like Virgo energy, on health, fitness and stuff like that. Like, so 6th house, so also the house of like, you know, helping others, being of service. So number 6 is number of service, number of home, family, domestication. So what comes to mind when people mention your name? Yes, we have the King and the Queen of Cups. Highly emotional, but intelligent though. Not like emotional word like you're emotional wreck. It's more like you're very much in tune, sensitive to your environment. You're very loving and nurturing. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. We have the 6 of Swords. Okay. What comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're the type of person that do not hold grudges, because the Six of Swords is like moving on to calmer waters. Like it's like just leaving things in the past and just moving forward and not looking back, not thinking about what happened, just like letting things like be what it is and move on, instead of like becoming bitter or angry, or like, you know, you just don't do that. You just move on with your life and just let things happen the way that it's supposed to happen. And this is what I'm getting here with the Six of Swords, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. And I feel like it's people that know you personally. This is not like strangers or like a work buddies or something like that. It's more like people that actually know you, know your character, that say these things. People that just, you know, maybe talk about you when your name comes up in conversation. That's what they say about you. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Eight of Wands. Okay, action oriented. Okay, like you're definitely an action oriented individual. You're a go-getter. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You don't stop for nothing to make your dreams come true. It's like you really push yourself. You really like put yourself in a position where you're going to win. You put yourself in a position where you're going to succeed, and you speak things into existence with the Magician, and you take action. It's not like just talking about, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then you just sit on your bum and you don't do anything about it. Like you just like let the universe do everything. Like you have to do your part too in the manifestation process. Like you have to be at the right place at the right time, like, you know, things like that. This is what I'm getting here. But you are definitely at the right place at the right time, doing what you're supposed to be doing. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, the Queen and the King of Cups. Like the Queen of Cups came out like 3 times, all 3 piles, all 3 decks, sorry. The Queen of Cups came out. So you're definitely emotionally intelligent. That's one thing that people are very much like fascinated about. Like your emotional intelligence is on point. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Ten of Cups. You're definitely like happy, or like you prioritize your happiness. You prioritize your goals, your dreams and aspirations. Like you don't like allow anybody's negativity affect you. You move on. Like I'm really get like a sense where even in friendships, like if you have a friend that is like bringing you drama, bringing you heartache, bringing you like, you know, pain, you're gonna let them go. Like you're not gonna entertain that. Like you're gonna move on. Okay, that's what I'm getting here. Like you prioritize your happiness. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You don't entertain the nonsense. That's the Five of Swords in reverse. But like I said, the Five of Swords upright is whenever you have to, like where somebody's pushing you to your limit. Okay, so that's all I have for you, my pal number 1. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye. Hi Bell2, welcome to my channel. This is Stella Beauty Tarot, back at you again with another video. So my pal number 2, you picked the heart chakra crystal, and this is going to be your reading, okay? So if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you back. And if you are a newbie, or welcome, thank you so much for tuning in. So the way I like to do this is like to smudge the cards first before we get started, so we don't pick up the energy of previous pal or previous readings, okay? So my pal number 2, what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Knight of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race. What comes to mind when people mention your name is that you are a cautious individual. Okay, meticulous, very hardworking individual. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, boss energy. That came out in, it was already in reverse. Yeah, I'm being called to keep it in reverse. What's being said about you, what comes to mind, sorry, when people mention your name is that you have amazing leadership skills with the Emperor. You're a boss, okay? You're definitely a leader. You have unshakable will. It's kind of hard to manipulate you with the High Priestess in reverse. You see right through people's gimmicks, games. Okay? You trust your intuition. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, we have the Hermit, like 3 major arcanas back to back. So with the Hermit energy, what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you are more reserved. That's what I'm getting here. And with the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles with the Hermit energy is definitely giving me the vibe that you're prudent. And I did say that you're cautious. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. It's kind of, you have a hard time letting people in, and you have a hard time trusting. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. It's like you're hard to read, or you're hard to be around, or like, not like in the sense that you're difficult, but it's like hard to be in your social circle or be part of your social circle because you don't trust people easily. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Queen of Swords, very much stoic. Okay. Emotionally unavailable to people. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name with the Queen of Swords. You're more logical than emotional. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Magician, Gemini, Virgo energy. So we have Virgo here twice. You're a great communicator. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're a great manifester. Like, you know how to speak things into existence for yourself. Like, you know how to make things happen for yourself. Like, you're not even worried about like things going wrong. Like, you always trust your intuition. You always trust yourself. Like, you always trust your gut about like a certain person, a certain situation. And it's like you go with the flow of life. Like, you trust your inner compass. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Sometimes people don't understand why you do certain things. They don't understand why you travel certain path, but it all makes sense at the end when they see the results of like what you're trying to manifest with the Magician. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, okay, that's too many cards. What comes to mind when people mention your name, my pal number 2? What comes to mind? We have the 10 of Cups. Okay, so you prioritize your happiness. Your happiness comes before everything else, like anybody else. Like, if something is not making you happy, it's causing you sadness, causing you grief, like, you won't entertain it. You won't accept it in your life any longer. You're going to move on. And you're going to do what is best, what is right, what is just for you. What it comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, 10 of Pentacles. Your abundance. You're extremely abundant. You know how to create money out of thin air. This is what I'm getting here. Yeah, like, this is like, I feel like pile number 2, you may have like the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold with the 10 of Pentacles. So that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, you are a great person to work with or work for. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the 9 of Swords. You're definitely pressure. You apply pressure with the 9 of Swords. You have people tripping. Okay, this is what I'm getting here. You have people tripping over you. Like, they're having anxiety. They act like they're not worried, but you got people pressed. Sorry guys, because there's 2 cards that fell on the floor. I'm gonna pick them up right now. Yeah, you're definitely unpredictable. Okay, with the Tower, that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're definitely unpredictable. Like, people think that they know you or they could read you like an open book, but it doesn't work like that. Like, you always have like another side to you that is hidden. And we have the Lovers, Gemini energy. So with the Gemini energy, with the Lovers, I'm getting like there is definitely a duality to you. Okay, you don't have to be a Gemini to have duality, because we all have yin and yang within us, but Gemini represents duality. So that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. There is like you have a really positive side to you, a beautiful side to you, but you also have this like shadow side to you that only comes out if need be, because you can't, like, you have to have balance. You can't, that's what duality is. It's all about balance. You can't be like too much on one side of like the coin, like, because then that's when you become unbalanced. You have to be in the middle. So that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. There is that duality to you that comes out whenever it needs to come out, whenever people like maybe step over your boundaries or do things to you or say things to you that is not right. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Empress. Wow. Speaking of duality, we have the Emperor and the Empress. That's duality, feminine and masculine energy. Okay, so you have a really good balance of feminine and masculine energy, because the Emperor, he's not going to allow you to step all over him, talk to him crazy. He's not going to do that. He's going to check you. He's going to let you know that what you're doing is not right, what is not just. And the Empress is going to be, you know, more receptive, but she's still not going to allow you to talk to her crazy, but she may not react the same way that the Emperor will. So you know how to assess a situation and tackle it the right way. You're going to tackle it, whether if it needs to be, you need to be in the masculine energy, you're going to do that. If you need to be in your feminine energy, you're going to do that. So that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, that duality is there. What comes to mind when people, Four of Pentacles? Like I said earlier, reserved energy, cautious energy. The Four of Pentacles is all about being cautious, holding back. So what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind? Eight of Wands, action oriented. Here, you're a go-getter. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're definitely a go-getter. What comes to mind? Wow, Queen of Wands and Two of Swords. Okay, so Queen of Wands, you're very much assertive, attractive, confident in your abilities to get things done. Okay, that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Yeah, like definitely assertive, like you know your worth. And we have the Two of Swords. You could act like, you could come off as nonchalant with the Two of Swords, or indifferent. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. What comes to mind when people mention your name, my pal number 2? What comes to mind? Yeah, we have the Death card, Scorpio energy, transformative, powerful. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, you're extremely powerful, you're transformative, you're magnetic, resilient. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, you're extremely resilient. You have a powerful energy to you. Okay. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name, my pal number 2? What comes to mind? Yeah, Eight of Pentacles. Hardworking, dedicated, meticulous. You have amazing work ethics as well. Yeah, like you're meticulous in your approach. Like, you work diligently at improving yourself, improving your craft, improving your work. Like, there's always like, you're always like self-improving with the Death card and the Eight of Pentacles. Like, you're always working to become better every day. It's like you don't stop. Like, you're definitely somebody who outworks a lot of people. You're like always like 10 step ahead of people. Like, you get things done. Like, you don't stop. Like, you get, like, if there's like an obstacle in your road, you're not going to stop just because the obstacle is there. You're going to find a way either around it, over it. Like, you're going to find a solution to overcome that obstacle. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Three of Cups. Okay, so you're very happy. Like, you have a positive social life. Like, yeah, you definitely have good vibes. Like, or you only good vibes only. That's it. Like, you don't tolerate like nonsense. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? What do we have here? Wow, we have the Hermit again, guys. Yes, very picky energy. That's what comes to mind when people mention, like, you're picky with who you associate yourself with, or the type of content that you consume, or the type of people that you hang around, the things that you do. You're very disciplined as well, structured and disciplined. I'm getting with the Hermit card. Very like prudent. That word prudent is here heavy. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yes, wow, you create your own fortune. Or like I'm getting like, what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're destined for greatness with the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know why I heard you're destined for fame, or you're going to have fame. Like, you're going to be in the spotlight. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, yeah, you're definitely going to be in the spotlight. You're going to be in that energy, that positive energy. Yeah, like, you only want to attract good things. And also what comes to mind when people mention your name is that when they are around you, positive things happen for them. When they remove themselves from you, negative things happen to them. Or like, just like, you're a good luck charm. That's what I'm getting here with the Wheel of Fortune. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Especially people that have done you wrong, that no longer have access to you. Holy moly, they don't want you to know that. They think that of you. They think that you are a good luck charm. Like, some of them, they feel like, you know, for a fool, like a fool for, like, you know, letting you go or mistreating you. There's definitely that energy of regret here. What comes to mind when people mention your name, my pile number 2? What comes to mind? Ooh, that you're charming. Okay, with the Knight of Cups. Romantic. You're a finesser. You know how to finesse your way out of a situation. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, 10 of Swords. Your cutoff game is not a joke. With the 10 of Swords, holy moly. Because we do have the Queen of Swords here. So definitely your cutoff game is on fleek. You cut off people without warning. Like you just do what you gotta do and you just cut off people. Like, you know, you just don't worry about how the other person is going to feel if they've wronged you, if they did something to hurt you, or they betrayed your trust, or they did something foul. Okay, like, yeah, people sometimes they need to know, like, you can't just do whatever you want to people and not expect like consequence. Okay, this is what I'm getting here. Yeah, you may be very nice and sweet with the Knight of Cups, but I don't mean that you're a fool. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the World card. Accomplished, well traveled, or accomplished. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name, like you're well traveled, or you're just accomplished individually, like you're knowledgeable. Okay, you're extremely knowledgeable and you've completed a cycle. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Page of Cups. Okay, so this is definitely giving me the vibe that you are somebody who is very much in tune with your emotions. You come off as like being sensitive, so that's why you could be guarded towards people. Like you don't want people to come and try to abuse you or take advantage of your heart. And that's what I'm getting here. Like you definitely are protective of your heart, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. That's why that energy of the Knight of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles, the Hermit twice, like you guarding your heart. I don't know why I heard above all else, guard your heart. You're guarding your heart. You're not trusting people like just easily. Like you're watching their behavior. You're watching how they move, and it's like you assess a situation to see like how it's going to move forward for you. This is what I'm getting here. Okay, so that's all I have for you, my pal number 2. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in my next video, pal number 2. Bye. Hi, pal 3. Welcome to my channel. This is Stella Beauty Tarot back at you again with another video. So my pal number 3, you picked the brow chakra crystal, and this is going to be your reading. Okay, so if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you back. And if you are a newbie, or welcome, thank you so much for tuning in. So the way I like to do this is like to smudge the cards first before we get started, so we don't pick up the energy of previous pal or previous readings. Okay, so my pal number 3, what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, we have the Page of Cups. Very sensitive energy, my pal number 3. Highly intuitive, imaginative. Okay. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, adventurous with the Knight of Wands. Not the Knight of Wands, sorry, the Page of Wands. Exciting, enthusiastic. Ooh, assertive and confident with the Queen of Wands. Very attractive, youthful appearance. Regardless of your age, you have a very youthful appearance. You look younger than your age, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You are very much assertive, okay? You know what you want. You know what you're not going to tolerate, and you're not going to put up with anything. Like let's say if you are in a job situation and they're not paying you the wage that you feel like you deserve or you're worth, like you're going to find another job. The same thing with a relationship. If somebody is not treating you the way that you feel like that's not working out for me, then you're just going to move on with your life, and then you're going to block the person and move on, because you are confident and you know that you could do better. Like, you know that you could do better with the Queen of Wands. Like, you know you could find someone else. It's not even an issue for you. You're not going to entertain anything less than you feel like you deserve. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, the Star. You're definitely original, authentic, unique, different. You're just different from what the rest. Like, it's just like not the same energy. Like, you're just like different. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, the Three of Pentacles. Your reputation precedes you. You're a great team player. Okay, collaborative. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like, you work well with others. Okay, what comes to mind when people mention your name? What do we have here? How many cards? Okay, we have 4. Excuse me. We have the Nine of Wands. Okay, you're definitely a warrior. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You could withstand a lot of things in life. You bounce back from everything. Like, you don't really allow things to get you down too long. Like, you get back up after a fight, after the war. You get right back up and you dust yourself off and try again. You keep trying until you get to the finish line. Like, you're not a quitter. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're definitely a warrior at heart. Okay, we have the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands is like the playboy, playgirl energy, but I'm not getting that for you. I'm getting like more, you get a lot of attention, a lot of eyes on you. You are adventurous. Like, you are, I don't know why I heard the star of the show, and we do have the star here. So definitely fire energy. We have a lot of fire energy here. Water, like all the other signs, like not signs, sorry, all the other elements is here, but it's mostly fire because we have the Four of Wands as well, and we have the Ten of Swords. So this is definitely giving me the vibe. Sorry about that, my pal number 3. So I was saying that it's giving me the vibe that with the Four of Wands, the Knight of Wands, that you are somebody who's very like happy, or you have a happy disposition to you. With the Ten of Swords, is definitely giving the energy of like abrupt ending. Like, you have a cutoff game that is very strong with the Ten of Swords, and that's what comes to mind. Like, you're not afraid of like I said, you know your worth. So if something is not working out for you, or not conducive to your growth, or causing you pain, heartache, stress, like, you're just going to cut it off. Like, you're not going to continue to do it, especially if you're not the one who initiated the stress. Like, you're not the reason why the stress is being caused. Like, you're the person on the receiving end of the stress. Like, you're going to remove anybody who is not being authentic, or like their mask is falling off. Like, you're going to see the mask fall off with the Ten of Swords, and you're going to cut them off. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention it? We have the Queen of Swords. I think the Queen of Swords came out for all 3 piles. And we have the Ace of Wands. Very much like creative, passionate, enthusiastic, but highly intelligent with the Queen of Swords. Stoic. Like, you don't play games. No gimmicks with the Queen of Swords. Like, just straight, like, you're honest, you're raw. Some people, they may not like that because it's like threatening to them or intimidating to them. Like, you're going to cut them off if they don't act the way that you feel like you deserve. Not in a controlling way where you're dictating, like, you have to do this, you have to do that. Or it's more like, okay, well, this is what I require in this connection. If you're going to be in my life, I need you to be respectful. I need you to text me, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Like, you need to, like, you know, be respectful of my time, respectful of, like, you know, I want you to take me out on dates. I need you to open doors for me. If you are, I'm just speaking from a woman's point of view, okay, guys? I don't know, for guys, like, it's different. Obviously, men want respect, but like, women like want love, okay? So for men, respect equates love. So that's what I'm getting here. Like, if a man does not feel respected, then obviously he does not feel loved. So that's the same thing if from a man's perspective, like, you have some sort of standard that you want other people to abide by if they want to be in your life. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name with the Ten of Swords. Like, if somebody does not abide by your standards of what you feel like you deserve in your life, you're going to cut them off. And with the Ace of Wands, like, I'm really getting like that positive energy, that manifestation energy. Okay, you radiate love, you radiate light. Yeah, we have the Emperor, boss energy. You know your worth. I keep going back to knowing your worth. You know that you're worthy of respect, admiration, adoration. Oh my God, I can't even speak. Because like, you know who you are with the Emperor, you're a boss, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. And it's like you have amazing leadership skills, and you could do well all by yourself. Like you could run a business all by yourself, or you could also work for someone else. Like you could be in a management position, CEO. Well, CEO is the boss, but like management position, leadership position for sure with the Emperor. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You definitely earn like I don't know, I got that for pile number 2 as well. Earn your stripes. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Hangman. You think outside the box. You look at things from different perspective. You initiate things. You make people like see things from a different perspective as well. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Four of Cups. Four of Cups could represent boredom. It could also represent missed opportunity. Okay. Maybe like some people, they may find like because like you're very structured and disciplined, you may come off as boring because you don't want to do certain things. We have the King of Wands. Yeah, you definitely in your bag. You're confident, you're assertive, you know who you are, you know what you're worth, you know what you bring to the table. You're extreme, like your confidence is something that is admired but also envied at the same time with the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands. People envy that about you, how confident you are. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Three of Cups. Happiness, joyful. Yeah, you're definitely happy. Like you definitely have this happy disposition to you. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. It's like even if you're going through some sort of struggle, obstacle, challenge, like you don't let it get to you, or you don't let it be shown in your face. Like you know, you could be like you could be going through hell and back and nobody knows because you're always happy, or you always have like a happy disposition to you. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, the Empress. Okay, like you're extremely attractive, you're beautiful, you're handsome, okay, but you're also very creative. You have your creativity is on point because we have the Empress and the Ace of Wands, and you have a really good balance of feminine and masculine energy. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name with the Ace of Wands and the Empress and the Emperor. Like that balance is really there. Like you know how to tap into your feminine energy, and you also know how to tap into your masculine energy, and you know how to navigate both simultaneously. This is what I'm getting here. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, Six of Wands, victorious. Public recognition, accolades, celebration. You're going to be put, like, you're definitely on a pedestal. You're getting a lot of attention. Like, that's what comes to mind when people mention your name, is that you are publicly acclaimed or publicly recognized. You're definitely put on a pedestal here. Like people really love you. People really are drawn to you. And this is what I'm getting here with the Six of Wands. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind? Yeah, you take a leap of faith. You follow your dreams. You follow your bliss. And we have the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So Queen of Wands is here, like, you know, that energy, that fire energy. There's a lot of fire here. So your zest for life, like your passion is here. So that's one thing that people mention when they talk about you, when your name is being brought up, is definitely like how passionate you are, how like assertive you are, how dedicated you are, and how you take the leap of faith towards your dreams. Like you're not afraid to jump into the unknown. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the King of Cups. You are emotionally intelligent, highly intuitive. People say that about you. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. And you definitely know how to navigate a difficult situation with ease. You have a lot of understanding. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind? Ooh, you see the Three of Pentacles again. Like you're definitely, like your work ethics is on point. Your reputation precedes you. You're definitely somebody that puts in the work, and your work is flawless. That's what I'm getting here. It's not like choppy or crappy work or something like that. What comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, Four of Pentacles. Reserved. You're reserved. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Yeah. Okay, there's a card that fell on the floor. Let's see if I could grab it. One second, guys. Ooh, Temperance. Sagittarius energy. Nonchalant. Like you don't think like things get to you or bother you too much. Like I said, that energy of you like being optimistic, and like, you know, we know Sagittarius is like the most optimistic sign of the zodiac. Like optimism is like, you know, they always look on the bright side of things, always want to see the glass half full instead of half empty. Okay, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like you have this optimism that is like out of this world. Like that's why like I feel like pile number 3, you're always lucky. Things always go in your favor, even if other people doubt you or think that, oh, that's not going to be possible for you. It's not. Like I don't think that's going to happen. Like let's say if you have some sort of competition or whatever, or like you're doing something and then you tell somebody, oh, I'm doing this, and they're probably gonna say like, oh yeah, that's nice, like just do your best, but like deep down inside, like you could tell that they don't really feel like you're going to be successful. But then you always turn out to be successful, and it's like for them it's like, oh my gosh, like how did they do it? It's because your optimism, like you believe in your heart that it's possible for you. Like why would it not be possible for you? That's the way that you think. Like you're like, okay, well, why would it not be? Like what's wrong with me? Why someone else and not me? Like what's the difference between me and the other person? Like why can't I do it too? Like, you know, that's the way that you think. Like you're like, if somebody could do it, I could do it too. Like not in an arrogant way where I'm better than them. It's more like, well, if they could do it, it's because it's feasible for me. That optimism. Okay, what comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, Queen of Pentacles. You're independent, self-sufficient, abundant, reliable, trustworthy. Wow, I just saw the King of Pentacles and wanted to come out. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Just one card, please. Thank you. Ooh, you have a healthy amount of self-love with the Ace of Cups. Like you, like I said earlier with the Queen of Wands, like you know your worth, you know what you bring to the table, and you're not going to allow anybody to make you feel less than, or that you have to earn their love or their affection or their attention. It's like it has to be given to you freely. If it's not giving to you freely, then you don't want it, and you're ready to move on to the next because you know that you could do better. Okay, and if not, you will stay by yourself with the Queen of Wands because you're happy. All right. So that's all I have for you, my pal number 3. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in my next video, pal number 3. Bye.